Welcome to the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube. This is our Awakening Together weekly gathering. Each and every week we have a different minister who speaks. If you'd like to attend our services live, please visit our website awakening-together.org. Click on Online Sanctuary on the main menu. Then, How to Enter the Sanctuary. Our services are held Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary.
Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Believe It or Not, May 2nd, 2021. I just turned my calendar over. It's beautiful. In fact, let me show you. It's so beautiful. Get it off the nail. This is we call it the Stairway to Heaven in Levita. It's actually called the Devil's Stair Steps, along with the Milky Way. Isn't that a gorgeous photo? So that's what I get to look at all month, all of May. So welcome to our weekly gathering. I'm really happy to be here with you all. For me, this weekly gathering is different than any weekly gathering I've ever done. And the reason for that is I actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation. And the reason I did that is I'm going to be sharing a new practice. And it just seemed like the best way to do the practice, the best way to share it was, to give you something to look at. You need something to look at. So that's why I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. So before we get into that unusual part of the weekly gathering, why don't we do the more usual stuff? It's been a while since I've had to focus on the technical and the inspirational at the same time. So bear with me. I'm sure you're bearing with Shauna too. Plus, neither Shauna nor I have the kind of internet that Dawn has. So we also just don't stream quite as well as she does. But again, it's wonderful to be here with you all. I'm very happy to see you on this beautiful Sunday morning. I want to share with you the statement of purpose that I've picked for today's weekly gathering. Today's weekly gathering is titled Meaning Projection. And I'm sure as we get forward into the reading and into the talk, you'll see exactly why. And the statement of purpose that I picked for today's weekly gathering is our third core value. We accept one true self, which is presence or being, non-dual, without beginning or end, and absolutely changeless. We live this value by practicing letting go of the belief in the individual self as who we are. And what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to introduce you to, again, a new practice. And it's a practice that really helps us see those individual self-centric point of views that we project onto everything that we see and experience. So I thought that was really aligned with our third core value. And I'll tell you what I find interesting about that song. I think it's a perfect song for our weekly gathering today, which I said is meaning projection. Because if you listen to the words of the song, he was projecting all kinds of dark, kind of negative thoughts on the world. And as a result, he said what he sees is a mad world. It's a mad world. And yet the video at the same time was showing these beautiful images that the people were making together, right? So, here he is looking on these beautiful images that the people are making together, sailboats and such, and he's seen a mad world because of the thoughts in his mind that he's believing and he's projecting onto it. I thought it was a magnificent video. It fits perfectly with what we're going to look at today. So, first, let's go into our prayer. Even though everyone here and everyone listening to this audio or watching this video later is on a spiritual path, desires truth, desires awakening, it is probably also true that we do not yet recognize how much we project on the world, on our families, on our daily experiences. It's probably true that we do not yet realize that everything that we find wrong with the world is really just our projection. And so today, we are here to get clarity on our projections, so we can see them for what they are. Projections. Point of view. Non-truth. And after seeing them for what they are, let them go. Because we don't want them. We don't want the stains that they place on experience. We want the purity and the beauty. And we can only see that by eliminating the projections. Amen. So we're going to start off with a reading. And the reader today is Audrey Whitehead. Audrey, I want to thank you very much for being the reader. She's going to read some excerpts from NTI Luke. So Audrey, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Regina. From chapter 12, as Regina said, excerpts from NTI Luke. Right now, you think you are focused on the world. You think you are focused on relationships, work, entertainment, and rest. But I tell you that you are not focused on any of these things. You never have been. Even your thought that you are focused on the world is an illusion within the mind. What you are focused on and have always been focused on is thought. In every moment in your seeming interaction with the world, you are focused on thought. And because you see yourself as a separate entity within the world, you are focused on thoughts that seem to be generated within the private mind that belongs to you. Let's look carefully at this process of which you are barely aware, and yet it defines everything that you think, believe, and do. Whenever you look at anything with the body's eyes, there are thoughts in your mind about that thing. If you look at a chair, for example, you may think that it is pretty, worn out, available, desired, not desired, clean, dirty, etc., etc. The thoughts that come into your mind seem automatic, without any awareness or evaluation on your part. You may make judgments about the chair based on your thoughts, and you may choose to sit there or not sit there based on your judgment. But you never look at, evaluate, or question the thoughts you hold about the chair. And this is only a chair. The process that you call thinking, of which you are mostly unaware, goes on within your mind regarding everything in your world. You make unevaluated judgments about the work you do, the relationships you have, the pastimes you choose, and the person you think of as yourself. These unevaluated judgments define everything and everyone within your world. And they are allowed within your mind without your awareness, your questioning, or your evaluation. The next excerpt is from Luke, NTI Luke, chapter 16. All perception is thought within the mind of the thinker. The thought has no meaning of itself, but it is given meaning by the thinker. If the thought seems to have effect, it is the thinker that gives that thought any effects it seems to have. In other words, there is no power outside of the power of the mind. And an excerpt from NTI Luke, chapter 17. Now let's talk about forgiveness. There is no separate one that can offend or hurt you. There is only a collection of thoughts which you hold within your mind. Of themselves, the thoughts have no meaning, but based on past learning, learned through judgment, the thoughts seem to have meaning. And so you feel offended or hurt based on what you think you know. Can you see how your brother has done nothing? Can you see how all meaning that has seemed to result in hurt has come from the filter of your mind? And can you also see how all meaning that seems to be applied is applied because you believe that the meaning applied is real? Yet, this does not mean that the meaning is real or meaningful in any way. It only means that you believe it is, and so you react as if it is. In this way, you continue to learn the meaning that you apply to your thoughts. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is simply an acknowledgement of the truth of how the offense or hurt has come about. It has not come from your brother. It has come from the meaning you have applied to thoughts within your mind. Without this meaning, you could not be hurt. And then forgiveness is taking this realization one step further by acknowledging you do not want to be hurt anymore. You acknowledge that the meaning that hurt has hurt you is within the mind. You are the owner or believer in that meaning. And so you are also the one that can let go of any meaning you have applied. And when the meaning is let go, the offense or hurt must disappear also, for there is no longer a power to influence an effect. What was made has been undone. This is the process of forgiveness. I realize that it will sometimes seem to take great faith to see your thoughts as meaningless, for you have taught yourself that your thoughts have great meaning. In fact, you believe that your thoughts have purpose, and that purpose is to define and make sense of your world and to define and protect you. This is the hidden meaning you have given them, and this is why you must lay your thoughts aside. For if you have made sense and meaning out of the purely meaningless, you are living within a world of illusion and believing it. In order to discover what is true, you must lay illusion aside, for you cannot find truth by looking through a filter of illusion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a little bit funny because during the prayer, and I don't know what your experience is because I think my mic is very, very focused. But during the prayer, there's a lot of noise where I'm at. Directly above me is the laundry room, and my boyfriend's doing laundry, so I can hear the washing machine going. Over to my side is my dog. She's what I call meditating, but she snores while she meditates. And then on my other side is the gym, and my boyfriend's in there working out, and we have a weight machine. He's doing weights. I can hear the weights going clang, clang, clang. And it's really funny because all of this noise, I wasn't even noticing it before, but when I went into the prayer, all of this noise became very apparent. And there was this really quick thought. First, the really quick thought, actually, there were a couple thoughts. The first thought I remember is what is that? When I heard the clang, 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 my mind didn't even know what the clang was. It understood the washing machine and the snoring, but didn't understand the clanging. So the mind kind of quickly went to, what is that? And I had to bring the mind back to the prayer. And then there was this little thought that my boyfriend should understand, that when he knows I'm the minister this morning, that when I'm the minister, maybe he shouldn't be doing laundry above me and working out next to me. And I had to let that go as well, right? And that's really all this is about. You see, all this is about is that these thoughts do appear. So the question is, am I going to believe those thoughts? Am I going to take them in and make them a part of my experience? Or am I going to notice them and let them go? Right? That's it. By the way, just this second, it went perfectly silent here. She is not snoring. She just woke up. The washing machine just stopped. And the working out must be done. Isn't that funny? It just went completely silent. Yeah. So this is not a complicated weekly gathering. This is a simple weekly gathering. It's probably something that all of you to some degree already know, that if we believe our thoughts, we experience them. If we notice them with awareness and let them go, then we don't experience them. And that's the difference between how we see the world, right? But as I said, I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation. So let's get into that PowerPoint presentation, shall we? And see what it has to say that might add to this simplistic lesson that we all already know. So let me share my screen again. I will not share my sound this time because I want you to hear me. There we go. And let me line this up a little better. It was lined up for you too. How is that for you guys? Is that good? Okay, good. So meaning projection is the name of the weekly gathering. And I'm just going to reread a little bit of what Audrey already read, but I want to bring us back into the reading before I move forward. So it says, right now, you think you're focused on the world. You think you're focused on relationships, work, entertainment, rest. But I tell you that you are not focused on any of these things. You never have been. And I'll just pause right there and say, if you had been, that would have been true perception all along, if you were just aware of experience. But you never have been just aware of experience. What you are focused on and have always been focused on is thought. In every moment in your seeming interaction with the world, you're focused on thought. And it goes on to say, and because you see yourself as a separate entity, you're focused on thought that's generated in what you think is a private mind. But what I also want to point out is because you see yourself as a separate entity, and because you as a separate entity appear to be the center of your world, what you're focused on is self-centered thought. That's the kind of thought you're focused on, self-centered thought. The reading then goes on to say, let's look very carefully at this process of which you are barely aware. And yet it defines everything that you think, everything that you believe, and everything that you do. Whenever you look at anything with the body's eyes, there are thoughts in your mind about that thing. And of course, it goes on to say these thoughts are unevaluated. So we look at a thing through thoughts. We believe that thing is what our thoughts are telling it is. So for example, if I hadn't evaluated those thoughts that appeared during the prayer. And in fact, if you go back and watch the video and really know what was going on with me, you might even notice that I had to pause during the prayer to look at thoughts and let them go right during the prayer. But let's pretend I didn't. Let's pretend those thoughts showed up. I did not evaluate them. I looked at my current experience through that thought. My boyfriend should know better than to do laundry and work out when he knows I'm the minister. Blah, 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 blah. I could have shifted completely into the wrong mind. Right? And just thought it was a fact that my boyfriend should know better than to do laundry and work out while I'm the minister. And I'll tell you, it's not a fact. You know why it's not? Because he can't help it. He's looking at the world through his self-centric point of view. He has never sat in my office and led a weekly gathering. He's probably not at all aware of the noise of the washer above or the noise of the gym beside. Why should he know that? Right? So the idea that he should know that is purely made up. But if I believe that purely made up, he now is not respecting me, right? The story goes on. He's now not respecting me. I have a right to get upset. You know, who knows what would have happened if I would have paid attention to the thought. More thoughts would come. We know that. Maybe I'd begin to be worried about you all. Can you hear the noise? What are you thinking? How can I lead a weekly gathering when I'm so tangled up in all of that and seeing the world through all of that? Right? So that's what this is about, is that, you know, we have an experience or we see a thing, but we aren't having the experience purely. We aren't seeing the thing purely. We're seeing it through these thoughts that are completely unevaluated. You know, in the song that we heard at the beginning of the weekly gathering, what he was saying in the song was that his best dreams were the ones in which he died. And what he was referring to is that's how mad the world is. That's how depressed I am. And he was sharing some of his thoughts about how nobody notices him. People look right through him, right? This was his meaning being projected on the world. And as a result, it was bringing him to the point where he was thinking suicide was the best option. So look how dangerous or how unhelpful our projections can be. And yet they come into our mind, they color our experience, we believe them without any evaluation, and we go off into this mad, mad world. You know, the reading said, whenever you look at anything with the body's eyes, anything, there are thoughts in your mind about that thing. If you look at a chair, for example, you may think that it's pretty. You may think that it's worn out. You may think that it is available or not available, desired or not desired, clean or dirty, etc., etc. And that's only a chair. You don't see even the chair for what it is. Immediately, all of these thoughts come into your mind. You know, when I was creating this PowerPoint presentation, first I looked at pictures of several chairs. I picked this chair because I really love this chair for our point. Because obviously it is a dirty chair. Some people may want to avoid this chair because it's a dirty chair. It's also really a very interesting shaped chair. Somebody may see this chair and think, oh my goodness, I want that chair. You know, it's an artist type thinking person or a craft type thinking person might think, oh, I want to redo this chair. I could do this and this to this chair. Another person might think it should be thrown in the trash. Another person, Paul Hederman, for example, might not think anything of it and just sit down in this chair and start talking, right? And it's only a chair. Yet we all have so many different self-centric point of views. We all see the chair so differently. And again, the reading said, you never look at, evaluate, or question the thoughts you hold in your mind about the chair. And this is only a chair. right? We have all of these thoughts that are coloring the way we see the people in our lives, the work that we do, everything that we experience. So what I want to do is share a new practice. This practice came to me as I was writing 500 Days with NTI. So those of you that are in 500 Days, when you get towards Luke chapters 16 and 17, you'll find that this is assigned. But it occurred to me that maybe people who aren't doing 500 Days would enjoy doing this practice too. So these are the 30-minute practice instructions. For the first 15 minutes, you select a particular image and you look at it. And I'm going to give you some ideas about types of images you might want to select. And for the first 15 minutes of the practice, you select a particular image and you look at it. You can look at a photograph, or you could just hold the image in your mind for 15 minutes. And what you do is you notice the thoughts that come into the mind regarding the image. You do nothing else, you just observe the thoughts. And you might be pretty surprised if you just sit there for a mere 15 minutes and look at a photograph and then just notice the thoughts that come in about the photograph. You might be pretty surprised at what's coming through. And yet you will recognize immediately that you've been viewing that thing or that person through those thoughts. After 15 minutes of looking at the thoughts that have been coloring your point of view, then you go into your second 15 minutes. And for the second 15 minutes, you try to spend 15 minutes looking at the image as it is without projecting any ideas onto it. Now, of course, it's likely a projection thought will arise. In fact, it's likely a few will arise. So when a projection thought does arise, you realize this is an idea in my mind. It is not inherent in the image. And then you look at the thought and you again attempt to look at the image without projecting any thoughts onto it. And for the next 15 minutes, you just continue to do this. You observe the image as it is, or you notice your projections, realize they're in your mind, they're not inherent in the image, and you let them go. So we have 15 minutes of observing our projections and 15 minutes of attempting to observe the same image without any projections, just seeing it as it is. So what types of images might you want to select for this exercise? What I would recommend, if this excites you, and it really is an enlightening exercise, so it might excite you, especially if you try it even once, I would recommend doing 30 minutes over several different days, and each day selecting a different type of image. So for example, on the first day, you might want to select someone you love. And then just look at a picture of someone you love for 15 minutes and notice your projections. You know, it's possible if this is your granddaughter or your daughter, for example, that when you first start looking, it's going to be, oh, she's so sweet, oh, she's so cute, oh, I love her so much. But you might be surprised if you sit there for 15 minutes, what else you see. She might also be a little brat. She's crying and wanting my attention when I have other things to do. She might also, if you look really closely at this picture, you might notice, like there's these little bags under her eyes, and there may be this thought, oh my God, I wish she didn't have my bags, right? Oh no, she's going to grow up to be as ugly as I am. and oh, her hair is just as frizzy as mine. Oh, I wish she had smooth, pretty hair instead of this frizzy hair that I have, or, oh, but look at those cute little lips. She has thicker lips than me, she's so lucky to have those beautiful lips. But her nose is a little large. Who knows what you're going to see in 15 minutes? You might be surprised. So for 15 minutes, you just want to sit and look at someone you love and notice the thoughts that appear, the thoughts that you have been believing and looking through without evaluating them, without questioning them, without even being aware of them. And then again, for the next 15 minutes, you attempt to look and see what's here without any of your projections, which means even the idea, my granddaughter, that's a projection. My child, that's a projection. Can you notice each and every projection as a projection? Realize that's not inherent in the image. Let go of the projection and look again. What do you see without any projections? Without any ideas of good or bad? Without any ideas of beautiful or ugly? Without any ideas of mine? What's here? What's really here? Can you see that? And then maybe on the second day, if you decide to try this exercise again, you might want to pick someone you don't like. Spend 15 minutes looking at a photograph or holding the image of this person in your mind. You know, at first, you might see all these things. Oh, he is too gruff, he's too mean, he's too judgmental, he doesn't respect me. You might also see things like, he's smarter than me. I wish he loved me. Who knows what you'll see in 15 minutes, because there are a lot of different thoughts. And one thing you'll notice when you do this exercise is that your thoughts conflict. It's a very enlightening experience to sit and do this exercise. 30 minutes a day for about 2 weeks. Pick something different each day. And that's what you'll do if you're in 500 days, except you'll do it slightly different in 500 days, but very similar to what I'm introducing today. And then maybe the next day, you want to pick something important to you. You know, this picture could represent just space in my life, where, you know, or I want space in my life, or I want time for meditation, contemplation, or I want time to be outside. You know, and you select a picture or you hold an image of your mind of something important to you, and then you watch what you project onto that. Maybe you project onto that you don't get enough of it. Maybe it's someone else's fault. Maybe it's your fault. Maybe if this was meditation or contemplation, you're not good at it. Who knows what you project onto something important to you? And it could be something different. You know, I just selected a photograph. Whatever is important to you, select something important to you. It could be money. I thought about putting a picture of money here. And then the next day, select something that's a problem for you. In this case, this represents mice in the house. Spend 15 minutes looking at something that's a problem for you. What do you project onto it? What are the thoughts in your mind through which you are seeing? Maybe you're even unworthy for having a couple mice in your house. Of course, Cinderella didn't feel that way. Remember, the mice were her friends. It must be a projection. And then again, 15 minutes attempting to look without your projections at this thing that you thought was a problem. What do you see when you look at this thing that you thought was a problem with no projections? And I want to talk about, we're not talking about changing the projections. We're not talking about changing the thoughts from, you know, negative to positive. That's still a projection. We're not talking about changing the way you see the mice from a problem to my friend. We're talking about no projections. Just looking at the image as it is for 15 minutes. And then the next day, you might want to select something that you want more of. I picked this picture. It represented seeing more of my daughter and granddaughter. That's what this represents. But you'll select something you want more of. What happens when you set and you look at something you want more of for 15 minutes and you watch your projections? And then can you look at something you want more of for 15 minutes and just see it as it is? You know, similar to the idea that my boyfriend should know better and shouldn't be doing laundry and working out while I'm the minister. You know, you might project onto your daughter that she should contact you more, that she should send you more pictures of your granddaughter, that she should come and visit more, call more. But is that true? Was it true that my boyfriend should know not to do laundry and not work out? Of course, that's not true. In fact, maybe he's just trying to take advantage of this time when we're not together so that we can be together later. Is it true that he should see from my point of view? No. So is it true that my daughter should see from my point of view and call more and send more pictures? Or should she just live her life the way she's living her life? You know, what do I see when I look at something I want more of? And can I look at that without my projections and just see it for what it is? I can also practice this with something I want less of. You know, maybe I want less work, but maybe I sure like that money. Maybe I really like the respect I get at work. Maybe I like the feeling of accomplishment. What all am I projecting onto just the act of having work to do? And can I contemplate just the act of having work to do without any of my projections? Just let it be as it is. Just happening the way it's happening, with none of my self-centric point of view projected onto it. What about something I judge others for? In this case, it could be smoking. It could be, not clean, or not homeless, or being homeless, or having too much hair, or even being old. Some people don't like old. Look at the dirt under his fingernails, Can I spend 15 minutes looking at something I judge others for, something I genuinely know I judge others for, and look at an image or hold it in my mind and notice all of my projections and realize that is not inherent in this image. That's my thought. I'm seeing this through my thought, through my believing. And then can I sit and spend 15 minutes just looking at it as it is, without my projections? And if I do, what do I see? And then I might want to spend a day looking at something I judge myself for. In some cases, people may find this even more difficult than what we judge others for. We tend to be a lot more invested in believing what we judge ourselves for. So is it true? What are my projections? What am I judging myself for? What are my thoughts around that? Just notice all of these thoughts that I'm seeing myself through every day. And then, can I see myself without any projections? Can I see myself as I am without projecting any thoughts, good or bad, onto it? I remember Peace Pilgrim said, it was easy for her to let go of judging others. But when she let go of judging herself, she says, that's when I really started getting somewhere. What did she mean? The only way to find out is to let go of judging ourselves, let go of seeing ourselves through our own projections, is what we're talking about. And then you might want to spend a day looking at something you're procrastinating on. Most of us have something we're procrastinating on, don't we? So what if you spend 15 minutes looking at that and noticing all of the thoughts you're projecting onto that? And then spend 15 minutes looking at that image in the mind, or a photograph, or if it's breaking leaves, you could actually sit on the back porch and look at the leaves in your yard for this 15 minutes of projection and 15 minutes of clarity. But spend 15 minutes now looking at it without your projections, without any projections. See, that's what we're talking about. Again, we're not talking about changing from negative to positive projections. We're talking about seeing without any projections. Then maybe you want to spend a day practicing this exercise with something you're proud of. What happens when you spend 15 minutes looking at your projections around that? And are you able to spend 15 minutes looking at that without those projections? You could also practice with something you fear. You could spend a day practicing with something that upset you recently. This is a good one. Anything. Pick something that upset you recently. Hold to that in your mind. What are all your thoughts around that? What are your projections on that situation? And then, can you spend 15 minutes looking at that situation without your projections? You could also spend a day looking at something you desire. It's pretty enlightening to try this. Even those of us who see ourselves as having a fairly purified mind may be surprised at what we see when you just stop for 15 minutes and look at something important to you, or something you love, or someone you don't like, or something you've been procrastinating on, et cetera, and just do nothing but watch your projections. You may be amazed. You also may be amazed how challenging it is the second 15 minutes to look without your projections. And what you may realize is what NTI here says is true. You think you're focused on the world. You think you're focused on relationships, work, entertainment, and rest. But you are not focused on any of these things. What you are focused on, and have always been focused on, is thought. That's all you're seeing. That's all you're seeing is your thought projected on the world as the world goes by. And this is why NTI Luke chapter 17 says, now let's talk about forgiveness, right? Like, do I really need to forgive my boyfriend for washing clothes and working out while I'm the minister this morning? No, I don't need to forgive him for that. I just need to see that I'm the one that applied the meaning to that. My projection, he should know better. My projection, he shouldn't be doing that, right? That's all that needs to change. I don't need to forgive him. The funny thing is, I don't recall him doing laundry or working out while I was the minister before. And you guys know I've been the minister a lot of times. So this is really just a perfect universal setup, don't you think? So that I had something live to kind of work with as an example. So NTI says, there really is not someone out there that's offended you or upset you. What there is there's a collection of thoughts in your mind. That's what you need to look at. That's what you need to evaluate. That's what you need to question. And that's what you need to let go and look again without those thoughts. Look again without those thoughts. It also says that if you don't do that, right, if you just think you're looking at the situation is he shouldn't be doing laundry and working out while I'm the minister, and you never pause to realize that these are thoughts in your mind and you just go right on, you're actually continuing to reinforce those judgments, that self-centric point of view. You're just continuing to reinforce that self-centric point of view, and you are continuing to see the world through that self-centric point of view. In other words, you're living through the ego. True perception and forgiveness are really the same thing, or you could say forgiveness is the road to true perception. It's noticing your projections, evaluating them, questioning them, inquiring into them, letting them go, and looking without them. It's basic, isn't it? I mean, how many of you guys did not already know this? And yet, isn't it kind of cool to sit here and contemplate that exercise? Don't you think it might be somewhat enlightening to do that exercise? Let me show you one more slide that I have. This is really what we want. We want to be as well as the grass bees. I mean, do you think the grass projects anything on anything? Or do you think the grass is just ising? You see, true perception is being perception, which means it's just being, and it's perceiving while just being. You are just being when you have no projections. If there are any projections, you are not just being, it's being plus projection. So we want to take out the plus projection and return to the just being. Just being with whatever is happening, whatever is going on, without putting any projections on it. We want to let the grass be our master teacher. Or a tree, or a flower. Right? Just let it be our master teacher. So that's all I have to share with you today. I know it's quite basic, but it's also quite profound. And I hope you'll take the time to practice the exercise, because I think you'll be pretty amazed at what you see. I'm going to play another song now. The first song I played was Mad World by Gary Jules, and we saw he was projecting his thoughts onto the world, couldn't even see what was right in front of him, right? Now we're going to play a song that really represents more true perception. It's called I See the Light, and it's from Disney's show Tangled. It's sung here by Olivia Collingsworth and Joseph O'Brien. Oh, and by the way, I should say that Awakening Together is supported by your donations. And we really are. So if you would like to donate, I think Shauna may share a link with you and you can donate while we're playing the song. All right, let me share the screen. Lovely. So now we're at that time in our weekly gathering where you all get to share based on the reading and based on the homily. So who would like to say something? Let me turn off my chat so I can see everybody. Still can't see everybody. A lot of people here today. So Rev Gloria, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon. Well, I guess it is still morning. Good morning. And, I just wanted to say that, first of all, Regina, thank you so much for that mini retreat there, because that's really what it felt like we were all in retreat, and that was wonderful. I loved it. So thank you for that. I wanted to say that, I'll be coming up soon here to talk. And as always happens before I get ready to speak, I start getting these insights and things of this nature, right? So the thing that has already come forward for me, and I can't make this up, I'm so humbled and I feel so connected to all that is right now, because I'm just so humbled by what I'm about to say that I can hardly say it. But, the topic of my homily that'll be coming up on the 16th is thought is the linchpin. That is my homily. That homily is coming out of a recent experience that I've had on my job, where, I've just been experiencing one particular manager in a really harsh light. Like, her emails are just, and so I finally got to a point where I was able to see that it was my projection onto her that was causing me to respond. Like, in my emails to my manager, they were not very, I was like, hey, what's going on here? I'm reacting to how she's acting. But I really got to a point where I understood, and I clearly saw that it was the projection onto her based on a lot of what's going on in the world today. Right? I have a lot of beliefs, and that's the one thing that became clear to me, is that there had been a development of beliefs, or a ramping up, if you will, of beliefs that were either already there. And so seeing everything that I'm seeing in the world is now being projected out onto people who are around me. Not in a vicious way or anything, but I was able to see that clearly. And what Regina's talk today helped me to also take that one step further and not just see the projection, but attempt to see that situation without the projection. So I think that is going to also reveal some other layers of beliefs and things there that I can let go of. But again, I'm really humbled by the fact for this confirmation today. I was very much in this space of looking at thoughts, recognizing the projections that are happening around me and being activated in that way. And it's also, like I said, something I plan to talk passionately about in a couple of weeks. So thank you, Regina. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the reader. And thank you, everybody. So that's it. I'm out. Bye for now.
Thank you, Gloria. I always love to hear from you, and I look forward to your upcoming homily. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Okay, Laura. I saw Laura first, so we'll let her go. Ruby, maybe you can share in the next half hour. Go ahead, Laura.
Thanks, Regina. Yeah, that was such a beautiful exercise, and I'm looking forward to the 15 minutes also of the gazing at it with the absolutely no projections. And what came in, and I shared last night or a couple nights ago in a walk through Divine Light, or actually it might have been last night, but I can't remember. But anyway, when I was walking across the country, and it was like being so completely in love with the asphalt and how easy that was. And so that the space of just letting the projections float away and not believing them, and that divine love and light just permeates all of existence and just comes through. So I look forward to exploring with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laura. And it is time for me to end the weekly gathering. So I will do that. I'll turn the mic back over to Shauna, who I think will probably turn it over to George. And then George, I think Ruby already had her hand up. So if she's able to stay, I think she's up next. Okay. So I want to thank you all for coming. And again, this will be available as an audio. And, Shine is on vacation right now, but when she's back, or maybe before she's back, I don't know how she's doing things, as a video. So if you didn't take notes about the different things you might practice with, you'll get a chance to watch it again and practice. Okay. Write down what you want to practice with. Thanks, everybody. I'll see y'all this evening. Bye.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.